For a while, I was like 100%, 100%. Yeah, I mean, that's what we're supposed to do. Let's double that. And then that's what said was double of 100%. It's 200%.
Welcome to the 200%. No. This is Blazing Mike podcast, but I am with Mr. 200%, Jeremy Gomez. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Great times.
Blazing Mike.
Blazing Mike. First, my debut in the Blazing Mike.
Yes. Yeah. We did shoot one. And
we did shoot one and it was scrapped.
Yep.
When maybe in 10, 20 years we'll watch it and see how it was.
I know, right? I know. But welcome to Blazing Mike, a podcast for Pod Media Lab, which you are one of the founders of the company. So tell me a little bit about you. You are in real estate. We all know if you have watched 200% Live podcast. Mm-hmm. But tell me a little bit more. Where did you grow up?
So I was born in Lima, Peru, and I was there till I was 7 years old. And so I'm a tender age of 42. Sorry, I just forgot how old I was. I'm a tender age of 42. So, but I was born in Peru in 1982. I, with a great family. My dad was an accountant in Lima for one of the biggest furniture stores in the country, and had all the luxuries you can imagine. Even as a young kid, houses on the beach, 3 maids at the house, big house, etc. But that's where I grew up. But we came to the United States in 1989 when I was 7 years old because of the terrorism that was happening in Peru at the time. And my dad wanted a better life for us, and just basically went from being, a great career and having everything to starting from scratch and being a janitor in downtown Orlando. Coming in at 7 o'clock at night and leaving at 4 o'clock in the morning to scrub toilets to make a better life for us here in the United States.
That's the life of immigrants, right, that come. Mm-hmm. But how was it for you? Do you remember in details like that first landing in the United States?
Oh, absolutely. So, sometimes you say, like, what is the earliest memory? I think I remember when I was 4 or 5, maybe. Mm-hmm. But I do remember vividly, coming to the United States because we were, me, my brother Joel, and then my brother Yuri. Yuri's 12 years older than me, but Joel was only 2 years apart from me. I'm the youngest. I was an accident.
The famous whoops.
Yeah. I'm just kidding. There's no accidents, but yeah, no, I was meant to be here, but my parents weren't expecting me. Yeah. So, but I do remember because me and my brother Joel, we were the kids, the little young kids running around. All my cousins were probably back then in their 30s, 20s, late 20s, 30s. All my aunts and uncles. So me and my brother were the little ones. And my brother Yuri was he's 12 years older. So if I was 7, he was 19. So we were like the youngest. So I remember that when we came from Peru to the United States, it was almost as if, okay, the babies are leaving. Me and my brother Joel, because my uncles and aunts from my dad's side and my mom's side, especially my dad's side, they kind of raised us, So, and then the cousins too. So I remember vividly saying, okay, we're leaving all this to come to somewhere I don't even know where we're coming to. I had no clue. I was just following my parents. I have no clue. You know what I mean? So, it was a different big change coming from Peru, which back in 1989, it was... it wasn't as advanced as the United States. Mm-hmm. So coming here, landing an airplane, seeing all the technologies that the United States had in 1989, mm-hmm. Automatic doors and, the gas stations that, you pump your own gas, mm-hmm. as little as that, candies that I never saw, foods that I never saw, and English. Everybody was speaking English and I didn't really know English. Mm-hmm. I speak Spanish. So it was a big change, but we adjusted. I think we adjusted very quickly.
What, when you came here and you saw your parents working and, in the eyes when you move to another country, you see like you have all of that back home, and then you move to a country that you have to pretty much start over. How was it for you to see your parents like working so hard to be able to provide a life for you and for your brothers?
Then I just thought they're working. My dad always used to work, and my mom used to take care of us, but she also had her own business, which was a little grocery store in the house. Yeah, it's not like the United States, you got to get a permit and all this stuff. And, no, you literally can, in, your house, just say, I'm going to open for business, and you open for business. And it was a little grocery store. We had, all the conveniences and meats and cookies and all that, whatever. So, but I always knew they always worked. And when they came here, I just thought, oh, they're still working, just in a different thing. But fast forward now, I understood that there was a big change, going from my dad from an office job, executive job, to being a janitor. Later on in life, I understood that was a big sacrifice. Because before I just thought, oh, we're just here in a different place and they're working as well, but in a different scenario. But I didn't really think about that until probably one of my teens. It's like, well, yeah, my dad was an accountant and now he's a janitor, He did that for us, so that's what I thought.
Yeah, I'm sure growing up also you saw all of that happening, and that's helped you a lot throughout your career as an entrepreneur, and you have been in many businesses. So you started as a cell phone business. Tell me a little bit about that journey.
Yeah, so owned my own business at 21. My brother Yuri had started the cell phone business selling T-Mobile phones, and grew it to a 36-store, empire with 150 employees, the whole nine. And my entrepreneurship journey started by having my own cell phone store under his brand, under his franchise. My parents had one too, etc. And furthermore, that was at 21 years old. And just a few months later, I was married with Gia. So we were entrepreneurs, really. I was 21 and she was 20 years old. So understanding the hard work has to come through all that. But, being an entrepreneur since 21, definitely it's a big step. I didn't know anything else it looks like. I never thought to myself, I'm going to, go into a 9-to-5 or anything like that. I had jobs like that before 21 years old. But when I understood what the entrepreneurship journey, had to offer, I knew that the sky was the limit. Even the sky's not the limit. Like, you can literally write your own paycheck. It depends on how hard you work.
And like that being said, it depends how hard you work. So what has been the biggest challenge as an entrepreneur for you today? Because you have been in so many different industries and you're clearly very successful in the industry that you are now, that it's real estate.
Yeah.
What has been the hardest part of this entrepreneurship journey from the 21-year-old Jeremy to now?
Yeah, no. The hardest part, I think, in start of entrepreneurship is learning how to evolve with cycles of business. Because business, I'm sorry to say, whoever's an entrepreneur just started your journey, is not always going to be the same. Stuff is going to change. The market's going to change. The competitor's going to come in and sell the same product for less money, or sell the same service for less money. So how to evolve in those cycles where you're losing business to other people, or you're losing business just because the economy is not where it needs to be, and how to adjust to that to continue doing business, and what new products and what new services you need to implement in the business to survive. And we've had a lot of expensive lessons throughout the years. But I'm happy to say, even in certain cycles that have happened over the last 4 to 5 years, we've been able to manage and understand what needs to happen to evolve, and knowing that you got to change. If you don't change, it's not going to be good.
Yeah, for sure. And that's one thing that I have to say, guys, like Jeremy and Gia and the whole business, you guys are super innovative. You are always thinking outside of the box. What made you always have that courage that the fear was never there? It was there probably, but what made you always want to step out of that box?
Mm-hmm. We've never been afraid, and Gia always takes my lead on this. I've never been afraid to reinvest back into the business. And a lot of entrepreneurs have a problem with that. I've talked to people say, I want to make my money and just go start spending it, where most of it in the first couple of years should be to reinvest it back and see how much more you can further that business. And, even in the tough times of cycles, you still reinvest back in the business so it doesn't leave a big hole. You cut here, you cut there, unfortunately, stop spending here, stop spending there sometimes. But just keeping it going. Really, that's, I think, one of the things that a lot of entrepreneurs don't see,
And what a lot of people see it, speaking of that, is that you have a unique style that everyone knows you for the style of your hair, for your brand. It's your brand, right? It's what people see. I mean, yeah, no, it's the hair, the suits, suits, everything, and everyone sees that. How important it is to have that brand recognition, in the physical way and dress up like you always do.
So I've always been a big believer, especially in our business, that we are in real estate. At least here in Central Florida, there's 24,000 agents. So I've always been the ones like, why were people going to look for me for? Like, how can I make them remember me? And that's one of the main things that I've always thought. So the story behind it goes, and we discussed this, I think, on a vlog, but when I first started, I was a rocker at heart. I was a rocker at heart. And I, play guitar, was in a rock band, the whole nine. So when I got into entrepreneurship, during business hours of the cell phone, I had to wear my uniform, all that. But I was always just a rocker at heart, right? So, I still had the frosted tips and the spiky hair and all that. And when I started in real estate, I kept that kind of image. I wasn't really dressing up. It was just, jeans, just wear a polo shirt, let's see what happens sort of deal. And I was seeing that the business wasn't moving forward. And again, this is a very controversial topic because some people say, you shouldn't have to change yourself to get business. People should like you the way you are. And if they don't, then they don't have to do business. And that could work for some people. But I just noticed that things weren't moving as quickly as I wanted them to. And until there was one time where a client I met with first time, he reached out to me. I met him for the first time, and I walked in, and I think I was wearing some jeans. I had my spiky hair, and I think I was, 25 years old, 24, 25 years old. And he told me, "You're the realtor?" I said, "Yeah, I'm the realtor." He's like, "Aren't you a little too young to be selling real estate?" And that's where it hit me, and I said, forget this, let's do a makeover completely. Like, if I don't look the part, because I don't look, now I do, but back then I've never looked older. I've never grown facial hair. I don't grow a beard. I barely grow a mustache. And actually the last 3 years, my wife will tell you that I've actually grown a full mustache and she doesn't want me to grow it. And like little hair right here, but I've never had facial hair. I've always looked young, to the point where we went to Cuba one time, my wife's country, and they asked her, "How old is your son?" And she was like,
"Oh my God, wait, what?"
That kid that you're saying is my husband, and he's older than me. So, I've always looked, I had, shiny black hair ever since I remember. Now I have tons of grays, and I'm happy with it, right? But for a long time, I was looking at it. So when I said, I need to change the image, so maybe people can take me a little more seriously. And that's what I did. I changed the spiky hair and the clothes for suits and pocket squares. I said, I want to dress like a gentleman. And the thing that people say, the gentleman, the gentleman, when I read it in books and I read in magazines, is the person who's, the guy who's always dressed for the occasion, who is very educated, who always looks good, hygiene is great, smells great, shoes are shined, car is clean, whatever it is, right? So when you pop into that scenario, that meeting, people are like, okay, this is different, okay? And as I was going into business for a long time, starting this new thing of let's dress different, let's look different, let's do the hair different, and I was seeing what my colleagues, not in my same company, but in different companies, were wearing. I was like, man, like how can people do business with somebody that looks like this? You know, shoes are all dirty, you know, shirt untucked, you know, oversized suits that don't fit you, the sort of deal. So I was like, you know, that's what I want people to remember me. Like how I look, how I talk, and how knowledgeable I am.
That's really good. Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, that's really good. Really good lesson to everyone that is trying to get into the real estate side too. And any business is to have something different, right? Or any kind of thing you want people to remember you for something, right?
Yeah.
And another thing that a lot of people know you for is for the 200%, that it's your brand that is everywhere. We have a wall literally with paycheck commissions. Paycheck yeah. And it's really good, and it's everywhere. Every video we shoot, everything, you always 200%. So give us the meaning of that.
So 200% is just the concept of not doing things that are expected. People say, we were with somebody a little while ago. Actually, you were there. We were shooting some stuff with a client, and this is something everybody says. Oh yeah, you know, they tell you something 100%. Yeah, 100%, and that's what everybody's expected to do. You're supposed to do it at 100% because that's the full, you know, of your capacity, 100%. But 200% means doing it more and doubling the drive and doubling your efforts, because if you do that, you're going to reach more than what everybody's expecting you to do. Everybody's expecting you to do it 100%, right? Let's do it at 200%. There's no way you're going to miss. You know, you're going to do something greater than what you think you are. You know, push yourself to do best, the best version of yourself. That's what that means.
And how'd you come up with it?
Because people used to say, oh, 100%, 100%. And I thought about it for a while. I was like, 100%, 100%. Yeah, I mean, that's what we're supposed to do. You know, let's double that. And then that's what said was double of 100%. It's 200%.
I have to assume something. Every time I'm watching TV and someone is like, it can be like the shittest reality show, like Love is Blind, whatever.
Yeah.
So I go like, I hear they saying like, oh yeah, 100%. I was like, no, 200%. It's hilarious because it does come in the head, and just like your clients were saying just a little while ago, it's like that. Everything is you doing. So you did a great, amazing job at your branding, which is really good. And now you have the podcast, 200% Life podcast. You have the blog, you have everything. But tell me a little bit about the podcast. How the idea come up, and what is the podcast about?
So the 200% Life podcast is exactly that. I'm geared to like the young hustler mentality, or just professional. You don't have to be young either, because you can be young at heart, you know? And, you know, it's bringing stories and bringing journeys that I've gone through that hopefully can teach somebody not to make the same mistakes, or like, I was successful as this, you can be too, sort of deal. And the guests that come on are sharing their stories as well. So we're trying to reach that entrepreneur, that young professional, that's starting in any type of business, or has been in business but maybe stuck, to do more, and to know that, you know, going into business and being in a professional atmosphere, or just going into business period, there is great rewards to it. And that's what 200% Life is all about, living it every single day. So the
200%, and I'm the producer, which I love because I get to listen to all the amazing stories and the guests that you bring in, always super successful people in the business. And as a beginner entrepreneur in my entrepreneurship journey, which, by the way, you and Gia are the ones that kind of like plug that mosquito bite in me. Just like, you know, you gotta go for it, which I'm beyond grateful for it. And I get to learn a lot from you guys. What has been, or which guest has been like the one that you're like, oh my gosh, that story I didn't know? Because I'm sure you find out a lot of things that you don't know.
Yeah, there's been a few. I started having guests in season 2. My first season, if you guys go back to it, which is me just talking to the camera. It was very, you know, therapeutic in that sense. But bringing people in and sharing their story, I think it was great. But the ones that stand out, one of the recent ones was Brian Russi. His story is incredible. Coming in from, basically anybody could say his life was over to now being an entrepreneur in real estate and investments and developments. And really him showing to the world that, he got out of that life. And then my son, I think that was great. Gianfranco's, I didn't know a lot of stuff that we talked about on that podcast, and I think it was great. I think it was, one of my favorite ones too, because I was, diving into his mind as a 14-year-old. So I think that was great. Yeah. Those are my two favorite ones.
Yes, Gianfranco was really amazing, and that kid, like, he's so funny. Like, sometimes you're sitting in church and we start making jokes, like. Not during service, but he's hilarious. So I love watching that interview because, of course, I work with you and I get to see a lot of the entrepreneur Jeremy. And when I get to hang out with you guys outside and I see the mom and the dad, G and Jeremy, so that feels really nice. And I'm beyond grateful, first of all, to have you guys in my life, to have you as a mentor as well. And I'm happy that you guys trust me to be a producer and work with you guys full time as well. And thank you for sharing your story, which I didn't know a lot of things. I'm surprised. See, that's the beautiful thing about podcasting. Because you find facts that you don't even know. I love matcha, so kisses Machi. But thank you so much for coming. And next time we do Blazing Mike, it's gonna be a little bit more of the random stuff. But I wanted people to know you before, and know a little bit about your podcast.
Sounds great. It was fun.
Thank you.
Absolutely.